Thank you, Ananda Bihari Prabhu, for the opportunity to speak. And thank you, Adi Purusha Prabhu. I'm lamenting that I only caught the last minute of your kirtan there. I always love to hear your kirtans. So thank you. Okay. So today we will be continuing with the Brahma Vimohan Leela. And we'll be reading today from the 10th canto, chapter 13, text number 57. So I'll go ahead and share the screen here. So nice to see you all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Itireshe tarkye nijamahimani svapramitike Paratrajato tan nirasana mukha brahmakamitao anishepi drashtum kim idam iti vamuyati sati chadadro gyatva sappadi paramoja javanikam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Brahman is beyond mental speculation. He is self-manifest, existing in his own bliss, and he is beyond the material energy. He is known by the crest jewels of the Vedas, by refutation of irrelevant knowledge. Thus, in relation to that Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, whose glory had been shown by the manifestation of all the four-armed forms of Vishnu, Lord Brahma, the Lord of Saraswati, was mystified. What is this, he thought, and then he was not even able to see. Lord Krishna, understanding Brahma's position, then at once removed the curtain of his Yoga Maya. Purport. Brahma was completely mystified. He could not understand what he was seeing, and then he was not even able to see. Lord Krishna, understanding Brahma's position, then removed that Yogamaya covering. In this verse, Brahma is referred to as Iresha. Ira means Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Iresha is her husband, Lord Brahma. Brahma, therefore, is most intelligent. But even Brahma, the Lord of Saraswati, was bewildered about Krishna. Although he tried, he could not understand Lord Krishna. In the beginning, the boys, the calves, and Krishna himself had been covered by Yoga Maya, which later displayed the second set of calves and boys who were Krishna's expansions, and which then displayed so many four-armed forms. Now, seeing Brahma's bewilderment, Lord Krishna caused the disappearance of that Yoga Maya. One may think that the Maya taken away by Lord Krishna was Maha Maya, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that it was Yoga Maya, the potency by which Krishna is sometimes manifest and sometimes not manifest. The potency which covers the actual reality and displays something unreal is Maha Maya, but the potency by which the absolute truth is sometimes manifest and sometimes not is Yoga Maya. Therefore, in this verse, the word Aja refers to Yoga Maya. Krishna's energy, his Maya Shakti or Svarup Shakti, is one, but it is manifested in varieties. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. That's from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. The difference between Vaishnavas and Mayavadis is that Mayavadis say that this Maya is one, whereas Vaishnavas recognize its varieties. There is unity in variety. For example, in one tree, there are varieties of leaves, fruits, and flowers. Varieties of energy are required for performing the varieties of activity within the creation. To give another example, in a machine, all the parts may be iron, but the machine includes varied activities. Although the whole machine is iron, one part works in one way and other parts work in other ways. One who does not know how the machine is working may say that it is all iron. Nonetheless, in spite of its being iron, the machine has different elements, all working differently to accomplish the purpose for which the machine was made. One wheel runs this way, another wheel runs that way, functioning naturally in such a way that the work of the machine goes on. Consequently, we give different names to the different parts of the machine, saying this is a wheel, this is a screw, this is a spindle, this is the lubrication, and so on. Similarly, as explained in the Vedas, Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate Svabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha. Krishna's power is variegated, and thus the same Shakti or potency works in variegated ways. Vividha means varieties. There is unity in variety. Thus, Yogamaya and Mahamaya are among the varied individual parts of the same one potency, and all of these individual potencies work in their own varied ways. The Samvit, Sandini, and Hladini potencies, Krishna's potency for existence, his potency for knowledge, and his potency for pleasure, are distinct from Yogamaya. Each is an individual potency. The Hladini potency is Radharani. As Swarup Damodar Goswami has explained, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shaktir Asmat. The Hladini Shakti is manifested as Radharani, but Krishna and Radharani are the same, although one is potent and the other is potency. Brahma was mystified about Krishna's opulence, Nija Mahimani, because this opulence was atarkya, or inconceivable. With one's limited senses, one cannot argue about that which is inconceivable. Therefore, the inconceivable is called achintya, that which is beyond chintya, our thoughts and arguments. Achintya refers to that which we cannot contemplate, but have to accept. Srila Jiva Goswami has said that unless we accept achintya in the Supreme, we cannot accommodate the conception of God. This must be understood. Therefore, we say that the words of Shastra should be taken as they are without change, since they are beyond our arguments. Achintyaha kalu ye bhava na tam starkena yojayet. That which is achintya cannot be ascertained by argument. People generally argue, but our process is not to argue, but to accept the Vedic knowledge as it is. When Krishna says, this is superior and this is inferior, we accept what he says. It is not that we argue, why is this superior and that inferior? If one argues, for him the knowledge is lost. This path of acceptance is called avaroha panta. The word avaroha is related to the word avatara, which means that which descends. The materialist wants to understand everything by the aroha panta, by argument and reason, but transcendental matters cannot be understood in this way. Rather, one must follow the avaroha panta, the process of descending knowledge. Therefore, one must accept the parampara system. And the best parampara is that which extends from Krishna, evam parampara praptam. What Krishna says, we should accept, imam rajar shayo viduhu. This is called the avaroha panta. Brahma, however, adopted the aroha panta. He wanted to understand Krishna's mystic power by his own limited conceivable power, and therefore he himself was mystified. Everyone wants to take pleasure in his own knowledge, thinking, I know something. But in the presence of Krishna, this conception cannot stand, for one cannot bring Krishna within the limitations of Prakriti. One must submit. There is no alternative. Natam starkena yojayet. This submission marks the difference between Krishnaites and Mayavadis. The phrase atan nirasana refers to the discarding of that which is irrelevant. Atat means that which is not a fact. Brahman is sometimes described as astulam ananvarasvam adirgam, that which is not large and not small, not short and not long. Neti neti. It is not this, it is not that. But what is it? In describing a pencil, one may say, it is not this, it is not that. But this does not tell us what it is. This is called definition by negation. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also explains the soul by giving negative definitions. Najayate mriyate va. It is not born, nor does it die. You can hardly understand more than this. But what is it? It is eternal. Ajo nityaha shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. It is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. It is not slain when the body is slain. In the beginning, the soul is difficult to understand, and therefore Krishna has given negative definitions. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainyam kledayantyapo, na shoshyati marutaha. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can it be burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. Krishna says, it is not burned by fire. Therefore, one has to imagine what it is that is not burned by fire. This is a negative definition. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'd like to seek everyone's blessings that the discussion that we have this morning can be something that is beneficial, meaningful, inspiring for us all, and also faithful to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, the Acharyas, and the Shastra. So we thank you all again for the opportunity for this Sangha. So we see in this Leela so many aspects of what Krishna's pastimes can do, that Krishna's pastimes teach. Krishna's pastimes can chastise, like in the case of Lord Brahma, can correct one's conception. And above all, Krishna's pastimes increase the devotee's love for him. And it's clearly stated here that this pastime is for the purpose of increasing the love of the Brajavasis, increasing the love of Lord Brahma himself. Sometimes we think of this pastime as something in which Lord Brahma is harshly corrected. I guess we can say on some level that this is the case. Lord Brahma, certainly his illusion is dispelled, and he accepts wholeheartedly Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, we consider this aspect of love, of increasing love for Lord Brahma, that in this period of this pastime, when he's seeing these many Vishnu forms, when he's seeing them all being worshipped by so many different personalities and even by personified virtues and shaktis. He experiences bliss. So this is something that's very significant in this pastime. So we'll read some notes here. And again, I just want to appeal to everyone for your blessings. Adi Purusha Prabhu, Arjuna Prabhu, Henry Prabhu, all of the senior Vaishnavas who are here, especially want to seek your blessings. Thank you. So just to review a little bit in this pastime, of course, this expansion of Krishna as the calves and cowherd boys is manifest for 1 full year. And during this time, the mothers of Vrindavan, the cowherd women, they no longer elevate Krishna above their own sons, because their sons are now, in some sense, we can say Krishna himself. So in serving him, they serve him directly. And we know that Krishna, he states in Damodarashtakam, by such childhood pastimes as this, we hear about Krishna in Damodarashtakam. It is stated, by such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. So, of course, in this particular situation, there's no question at all of awe and reverence. Of course, among the Brajvasis, we always say that there's no question of awe and reverence, but we can see even on a relative scale, right? They may not be thinking, oh, my Lord, in some Aishwarya conception, but they may say, oh, Krishna is the most special. They elevate Krishna also above their own sons. But in this unique moment, they're serving their own sons, but also serving Krishna directly. So they're not elevating Krishna in this sense, that they're serving their own sons directly, but they're also serving Krishna. So it's an interesting experience, and Krishna enacts his pastimes also for his own enjoyment and his own pleasure. So we can imagine the unique experience that Krishna is having in these loving interactions. And the cows, their affection toward their calves is increased. The cowherd men, their affection toward their sons is increased. They're experiencing this special paternal mood. And Baladev, in text 36 of this chapter, just a few verses prior to the one that we're looking at now, he comes to realize and he sees what's going on. He says, what is this wonderful phenomenon? The affection of all of the inhabitants of Braj, including me, toward these boys and calves is increasing as never before, just like our affection for Lord Krishna, the supersoul of all living entities. And he contemplates Krishna's energy of Yoga Maya, which is discussed beautifully by Srila Prabhupada in this purport, that Krishna's special energy of Yoga Maya is facilitating his pastimes, that it's a unique Shakti unto itself, it's a unique energy, separate from Mahamaya. And though it's bewildering Lord Brahma, although we can say on some level it's covering the predicament that Krishna has now created, this new set of calves and cowherd boys. That's being covered, and Brahma is bewildered. Yet it is all Krishna's energy. So Mahamaya may cover our immediate perception. Mahamaya can cover reality, as Prabhupada states here, can cover reality and show us something that is not. But here, it all is, we can say, because it's all Krishna's potency. So in this way, it's the Yoga Maya potency. And all of the boys and calves in this case are Krishna's expansions. Krishna is said to be Ananta Rupam, that he has unlimited, countless forms and manifestations. So this is one such unique example. Krishna is manifesting himself as this assembly of calves and cowherd boys. So Krishna, in many cases, will expand himself and show himself to special devotees in special circumstances as a matter of reciprocation. So, of course, Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, we see Krishna expands himself as the Virat Rupa form, the universal form, in order to reciprocate with Arjuna and to show him his devastating universal feature. And Arjuna ultimately prays that he returns to his four-handed form and ultimately to his original Somyam, his original form, Swayam form, two-handed Krishna. And he expands himself, he shows himself to Mother Yashoda when Mother Yashoda looks inside his mouth. When he's eating dirt, Mother Yashoda is chastising him and looks within his mouth and sees the entire cosmic manifestation, including herself, taking care of Krishna. So this is a special form he shows to her. Of course, Krishna expands himself in the rasa dance, the rasa lila pastime, so that all of the gopis feel that they are each individually dancing with Krishna and that he is with no one else. So in this wonderful pastime, he's increasing the love of the cowherd men and women and the cows, but also specifically increasing the love of Lord Brahma, but it comes in a bit of a circuitous way. So this is what we're seeing, and Brahma is bewildered. But similarly, Brahma, he becomes insignificant in the presence of Krishna's mystic power. This is coming from one of Prabhupada's purport of text 45. He says, similarly, Brahma became insignificant in the presence of Krishna's mystic power. Krishna's Maya was not diminished in value, but Brahma's Maya was condemned. Therefore, one should not try to exhibit one's insignificant opulence before a greater power. So this is the realization that is coming through this pastime, that Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. He's Bhagavan. Bhagavan means the possessor of opulences. So he's full in the 6 opulences. And any pastime, any opulence that we perceive within this world, within others, within ourselves, it's all understood to be coming from Krishna alone. So Krishna states this in Bhagavad Gita. I'll read this verse. He says, Yad yad vibhutimat sattvam srimad urjitam eva va tattad eva gacha tattad eva vagachatvam mama tejo msa sambhavam. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Srila Prabhupada has a beautiful purport here. It's very short, so I'll read it. Any glorious or beautiful existence should be understood to be but a fragmental manifestation of Krishna's opulence, whether it be in the spiritual or material world. Anything extraordinarily opulent should be considered to represent Krishna's opulence. Okay. So Brahma is seeing each calf and cowherd boy now as a 4-armed Vishnu Murti, Vishnu form, and witnesses this beautiful simultaneous worship by so many different personalities and by so many different means, singing, dancing. Many examples are given. So this is an example of our own gifts also being offered back for Krishna's pleasure. That Prabhupada gives the example that the hand serves the stomach, right? So if we try to chew food with our hand, we won't experience very much nourishment or even enjoyment. But if we use the hand to serve the stomach, to serve the ultimate source of, we can say, energy within this material body, that if we serve the ultimate source, everything else is nourished perfectly. So in this way, if we use our gifts, if we use whatever tiny glimpses of Krishna's opulence that we've been entrusted with, then in this way, if we use that to serve Krishna for the ultimate pleasure of Krishna, then everything is nourished. Not that we try to possess it and see ourselves as independent controllers. If we repose whatever we have been given and whatever beauty that we are privy to in this world, if we repose that at Krishna's lotus feet, through serving his representatives, through serving the devotees, then this is all reconciled. And as Krishna says, I am the ability in man. So these different virtues and factors of existence take personified forms and offer worship to Krishna. It's very beautiful. So a few examples are the time factor, one's own nature by association, reformation, desire, fruitive activity, and the 3 modes of material nature. They're all personified and serving these Vishnu Murtis, these Vishnu Narayan forms that each calf and each cowherd boy assume. And Brahma is seeing this, and he's seeing that, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, everything rests upon him. like pearls are strung upon a thread. So by this incident, Brahma understands how Krishna is maintaining the entire universe. And Brahma feels astonishment, but he also feels bliss. And this is a natural product of the realization of Bhagavan. So Krishna has his three aspects: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So each has a corresponding quality. So Brahman is correlated with Krishna's Sat feature, his existence feature. Paramatma, the super soul in the heart, is correlated with Chit, with knowledge. And finally, Bhagavan is correlated with Ananda, or bliss. So this is an experience of Brahma's accepting and realizing Krishna's position as Bhagavan, and he's experiencing bliss accordingly. So service and surrender, they bring this deep satisfaction to the soul. Our false ego is very fearful of surrender, but our deepest selves, we're thirsting. We're actually thirsting for loving exchange with Krishna. So attempting to surrender to faulty sources, to jivas, or to those who are not suitable representatives of Krishna, then we find disappointment and pain. But surrender, which is actually connected to Krishna, brings ultimate protection and actually fearlessness. So this is clear in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 18. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma suchaha. Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So in this text, there's so much richness in this purport that Srila Prabhupada is sharing, that Brahma is undergoing the process of revelation. He's bewildered, and now Krishna is removing Yogamaya and granting him understanding. Though Brahma is the husband of Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, so he's clearly full of knowledge. At the same time, he's bewildered in this case, and that Krishna only can grant him this revelation and understanding. So Krishna's Yogamaya is lifted. And Mahamaya, as Prabhupada states, is a different Shakti. So Mayavadis, they will see Maya as one, but as Vaishnavas, we accept that there are many different varieties of Maya, many varieties of Krishna's energies that come out for different purposes and are used for different purposes. So the Mayavadi position would be that Brahman is the ultimate, right? So they'll see that various forms, various manifestations, forms of the divine are manifestations of that same Brahman. They'll feel that those are like containers for Brahman. So of course, in this view, variety is not such a big consideration, because the Mayavad conception is that it's all one. So from our perspective, as Srila Prabhupada gives, that this variety is actually a primary aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Brahman is his effulgence, like the rays of the sun, and he is the sun. So variety is not secondary to the reality. Variety is the reality, as Krishna displays through his many pastimes, his moods, his relationships, his many forms, that he allows each devotee to have an Ishta Devata, a particular form within their heart that they feel the deepest connection to. And there are different angas of bhakti, different limbs of bhakti by which Krishna can be served and the devotees can be served and engaged. And also the unique qualities of the devotee. So Krishna loves variety. We hear many times this phrase, unity in diversity. So in the Brahman conception, there is unity, but there's no diversity. So when we see Krishna in his full conception as Bhagavan, then in this way we experience this unity and diversity. So Krishna is Atmaram, of course, he's full in himself. But he wants to experience loving exchange. So he has these expanded potencies that Prabhupada is talking about in this purport. And we're all expansions of Prakriti, of Krishna's energy, while Krishna is the only one who can be Purusha, the ultimate supreme controller. So Krishna is so enchanted by these loving exchanges. And one powerful example is that he is so captured and enchanted by the love of Srimati Radharani that he starts to wonder what her experience is. And this is given as one of the internal reasons why Krishna manifests as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he wants to experience love, loving exchange in the mood of a devotee. So, and something Prabhupada emphasizes in this purport, which is very important, is the significance and the importance of achintya, that this inconceivable nature of the Lord is something that is actually required, the acceptance and understanding of that. We can say understanding, of course, the inconceivable will never be understood, but we understand that the Lord has inconceivable aspects, and we accept that. So in this way, it's explained that this is necessary for actually understanding the Supreme Lord and entering into relationship. So this achintya aspect is essential to our understanding. It doesn't deprive us of understanding. We may feel frustrated, conditioned in some way to feel dissatisfied with being told that certain things are inconceivable. Of course, this like classic parable of, you go to a wise person, they'll say, oh, it's a mystery, my son. And there may be some dissatisfaction there. But what Prabhupada is saying in this purport is that actually by accepting certain achintya aspects of the Lord, recognizing that we have limited senses and that Krishna is unlimited, this actually helps us to understand him and to connect with him. So it's quite practical thing, actually. Achintya, we may think inconceivability as something so out of reach, but to actually accept it in a practical way, this is the nature of the unlimited. Krishna is unlimited. Who can put a cap on love? Who can put a ceiling on love? So therefore, we can understand practically that we can never fully grasp and understand Krishna's glory. And this is why we have incredible elevated devotees, liberated souls like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who are lamenting in his bhajans that, oh, I hardly know you, Krishna. Krishna, I'm so fallen. When will I understand you? When will that day be mine? So, of course, from our perspective, we know that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a liberated soul and a very, very elevated personality. But at the same time, we can say that this is actually true. His expression of this feeling is true because Krishna is truly unlimited, and that there will always be this achintya aspects of our connection to the Supreme that are inconceivable. So the importance of parampara and descending knowledge are emphasized here. That Brahma tried to understand through ascending and became bewildered, but Krishna's mercy came to him. And he was humbled and he experienced bliss. So there's this neti understanding that sometimes Krishna is described as he's not this, he's not that. But only through parampara and descending knowledge can we understand him as he is. And they say to know him is to love him, right? So we're so fortunate to connect with such vivid, beautiful descriptions of Krishna. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that his devotees always enliven each other and enlighten each other by sharing about him. So in this way, we connect also as aspiring devotees on the path. So we're so grateful and so fortunate, to have received these descriptions in such vivid color, you can say, from the acharyas, from Srila Prabhupada. So we'll conclude by reading one such description from Brahma Samhita, and then very eager to hear everyone's thoughts and reflections. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness, charming millions of cupids. So we thank you all so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai, great class. Perfect. All points are covered. Okay, time to reflect, dear devotees. The temple room, we're supposed to ask you first. Okay, nothing from the temple room. Online audience. Anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
William Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Just a reflection. When I was studying the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian Greek scriptures, and I call them that because I don't like the Old Testament and the New Testament, because it's all relevant, and to me it's shouldn't be new and old anyway. There was a scripture that when you were talking about when you were discussing, I was thinking about Solomon, and when he was approached and he was asked, what is the meaning of life? And he summed it up in Ecclesiastes chapter 12. One of the BibleHub.com says, in Ecclesiastes 12:13, he said, when all has been heard, the conclusion of the matter is this: fear God and keep his commandments, because this is the whole duty of man. And today we think about what did Jesus say about all those commandments? Jesus in Matthew 22, chapter 22, 37 through 40, he said to love the Lord your God with all your passion and prayer and intelligence. This is the most important, the first on the lending list. Then there's a second, love others as well as you love yourself. These are the two commandments in God's law, and the prophet hangs on them. And I think about our service as those who are aspiring to be devotees. Our service to Krishna, and how important our service is, and how Krishna blesses us every time we do service to him.
Thank you, William Prabhu. Beautiful
Thank you,
reflection.
Prabhu. Beautiful. Hare
We
Krishna,
love you
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
as we love ourselves, William Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I saw Asim Govinda in the temple room. Does he have a reflection or correction? Can't hear you, Adipusha Prabhu. Play Adipusha Prabhu. Asim Govinda ji, Hare Krishna.
Okay. I think it's coming through now.
Yeah, I think
We can hear you now.
Oh,
Hare Krishna. You can
Hare
hear me
Krishna.
okay?
yes.
Hello?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. It's a fantastic class, just marvelous. We were thinking yesterday about Dhruv. Sam, help me. Thinking yesterday about the pastime with Dhruva. Turn that down so I can. There's an echo. Brahma went through this amazing transformation from being not seeing Krishna to the point where Krishna showed him. And Dhruva went through a similar transformation. He felt belittled and wanted to compete with the prominence of his king, his father, the king. And then after austerities, by the grace of his spiritual master, he saw Krishna and he was thinking, now I found a precious jewel. And I was trying to ponder and pray to Krishna to understand what did he see in Krishna that made him feel like this was better than even getting a great kingdom. And as far as we can understand, just like William was just saying, what he saw was that Krishna loves me. Wow, here's Krishna. He's been here all along. I didn't notice him. I didn't realize that he, has such deep and pure and abundant affection for me. And when he saw that, he was totally satisfied. So, even just these calves, they were attracted to their mothers because they were Krishna. But what brought them cows running down from the hill? And what made the parents love their children more than anything? Because they saw in these cowherd boy forms and calf forms someone who was just radiating love for them. And they couldn't help but reciprocate with that affection. So that's amazing how Krishna's earrings may be so beautiful. He has beautiful lotus eyes, but the fact that he loves us and that we don't see it. And then he allows us to see that, we become satisfied. Anyway, I'm not sure how coherent that share was, but that's what Krishna seems to be giving. I was praying to Krishna what to say. Okay, well, glories to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Oh, glories to Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna Prabhu. That's what you shared is the all in all. That's everything. Thank you. Krishna's love for us. Yeah. And that meditation of what is it that Dhruva Maharaj felt? That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next? Ananda Manjari, Didi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dina, Bandhu, Prabhu. I want to return to the point of unity and diversity, because what I'm thinking about is also that in the material world, there is so much emphasis on individualism and this idea of like, I am unique, I am the controller because I am myself. And so I would like to just hear, how do we, really go deeper into this notion, like, yes, there's so much diversity and variegatedness, and without falling into pride and actually really embodying the position of servants.
Beautiful question. Thank you so much, Ananda Manjari Prabhu. Yeah, it's there are a few things here that, unity and diversity is something that Krishna has arranged. I think sometimes if we think of ourselves as the ones who are kind of bolstering this diversity, bolstering our individualism for our own profile, for our own influence in this world, so on and so forth, then yes, it's very easy for ahankara, for the false ego, to kind of just grab right onto that. But if we understand that Krishna has given us unique qualities for his pleasure, because he likes so many different varieties of exchange. He likes so many different offerings, so many different types of connection. Then in this way, we can celebrate our individuality and not suppress it, especially, sometimes on the spiritual path, we may feel a certain rigidity that, yes, we need to be this way, we need to be like that. Of course, that's true on some level. There are foundational principles, but at the same time, we can kind of progressively try to understand that Krishna has given us unique qualities for his pleasure, so that we can have our own unique connection to him, and that also we can make a unique offering, because there's false ego, ahankara, but there is also real ego. And the acharyas speak about this, that we do have an identity in this world, not that we lose our identity altogether, but that we progressively try to discover what about our identity is lasting and is meant for Krishna's pleasure. Of course, all of it's meant for Krishna's pleasure, but there are certain aspects that over time fall away if they are not suited for Krishna's pleasure. So in this way, there can be a bit of a progressive understanding of our individual nature with a view of how it can be pleasing to Krishna and the devotees.
Thank you, Dinabandhu Prabhu. And it's, we preserve our identity and use it in service of Krishna. And then we also enjoy being in the association of other identities, right? They're so unique. Everybody's bringing their own unique identity, to this class, for example. We're a Brady Bunch, William Prabhu said.
Yeah, Brady Bunch. Beautiful question. Thank you. And thank you, Ananda Bihari Prabhu. Yeah, this is, it's really like this, that, by seeing the variety in our Sangha, by seeing the variety of all of the wonderful devotees, we feel inspired also, and it helps us to remember Krishna's beautiful variety, that Krishna has manifested a beautiful kaleidoscopic manifestation in this universe. It's so full of variety, but at the same time, we see it even in our intimate Sangha. We see so many different qualities and varieties, all for Krishna's pleasure.
Yeah. There's a question from Kartik. Thank you for the wonderful class. You mentioned that we should accept descend in knowledge without arguments. See, Kartik is a scientist. He really digs deep. But are we not also encouraged to inquire?
Yes. Great question. Thank you, Kartik Prabhu. Yeah, we are encouraged to inquire. And in fact, to not inquire is also we're missing something. So we are encouraged to inquire, but in a mood of service, for one, and also sincere inquiry, not challenging just for the sake of like a sport. We're encouraged to inquire in such a way that our own doubts, our own questions, and the questions in spiritual life are very sacred. Surely the answers are sacred, but the questions are also very sacred. So we're welcomed and encouraged to bring those questions to qualified devotees who can clear our doubts. And we should inquire to our full satisfaction, actually, it's explained. But at the same time, descending knowledge means accepting what we hear, not that we inquire and then suddenly, we're at it again. When we receive a genuine answer, that we also try to assimilate the knowledge to really make it something that resides within our heart and something that influences our own way of seeing the world. So in this sense, we can say descending knowledge is something that we receive and try to really wholeheartedly integrate into our lives. And our inquiry is also, ascending knowledge would be to think that our inquiry is what's going to make us get there. Our ascending knowledge is like, if I keep asking and if I keep coming up with brilliant, challenges and questions, and that's what's going to get me Krishna's mercy, right? But we can say maybe our inquiry will please the devotees and then mercy will come, but that's still descending knowledge, that our inquiry might be pleasing to the guru or might be pleasing to the senior devotees, but then they are pouring out the mercy. So sometimes it's helpful to envision a waterfall coming down that we stand underneath rather than a ladder that we are climbing. So in that way, we're encouraged to inquire for sure, but in the spirit of accepting the mercy that comes and knowing that it's not our own potency that's bringing the realizations and the spiritual progress.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Kartik Prabhu, for the sacred question. And thank you, Dinabandhu Prabhu, for the sacred answer. Okay. I'd like to open it up for takeaways and reflections. But since we're already doing that, I don't know. Would anyone like to speak at this point? Rich Bhakti is making himself available, I see.
Just a quick comment on unity and variety and oneness and difference. I was just reading in the 11th canto, one point Krishna says to Uddhava, my devotees, pardon.
Thank you, Adipurusha Prabhu. Rich Prabhu, let's see what Adi Prabhu does. Are you putting us on the donation box, Adipurusha Prabhu? Or you just interrupted us?
I'm donating you.
So donate us, yes.
Please donate us, Prabhu.
Okay, turn the cameras on, dear devotees. Time for Shishivada Mulidhar Sugar Chandra to see you. And Adipurusha Prabhu is seeing you too. Jamuna Jaya.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adipurusha Prabhu. Okay, Rich, you can go on with your insight. Rich.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. This was on the topic of unity and variety and oneness and difference. And I'm glad we just saw a Catholic priest just now, if I'm not mistaken, which is highly apropos. Yeah, I was just reading the 11th canto. Krishna says to Uddhava, my devotees are your actual worshipable deities. And indeed, they are your own self. And this, our sweet soul, Ananda Bahari just said to William, we love you as we love ourselves. And I just, I feel like that sentence says so much. And I would just like to extend the name to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Rich.
Hare Krishna, Rich Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you so much. Loving exchanges. And Ananda Bihari Prabhu is he's always giving out that kind of very, very personal, caring love to the devotees. So much needed in our community. It's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that, Ananda Bihari Prabhu. I always feel that. I always feel that from you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for encouraging us. I have a question, Dinabandhu Prabhu. You were describing how gopis experience, when they're serving Krishna, they feel that Krishna is with me exclusively. And then I was thinking about our Sankirtan movement, where the mood is that we're serving Krishna together. So how do we properly understand the mood of the gopis? Does that exclusivity contradict the mood of our Sankirtan movement? Or I'm just not understanding it right? Or it's both?
Yeah, it's a very elevated subject. So I really don't feel qualified to speak upon it, but I can share some things that I've heard about this. So that the gopis, they have this feeling of exclusivity at certain times. It's in the Rasa Leela, for example, they're experiencing, because Krishna is expanding himself in this particular way and giving him that feeling of Krishna is only with me. And it's a very special, celebrated pastime for this reason also, that it's kind of the height of the gopis' love for Krishna, and therefore the height of love for Krishna, period. But at the same time, the gopis are grouped into different teams, you can say, where there are the gopis who are directly serving Krishna, and there are gopis who are serving those gopis. And then, it goes like that. And it's explained, I believe, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that actually the gopis who are serving, you can say almost like the furthest, number of degrees away from directly serving Krishna, they're experiencing the highest happiness. So Srimati Radharani, of course, is the closest with Krishna, and she's experiencing the ultimate spiritual love. But at the same time, these gopis who are serving in this kind of more removed way, seemingly, that they are experiencing a very, very deep variety of bliss in doing so. So there's teamwork, and there is there's not that every gopi is vying to be the supreme. They're all so enlivened by serving and facilitating the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So they understand that it's not exclusivity that they're seeking. They are working together, but there are certain special moments, such as the rasa dance, when there's that feeling of exclusivity. That's all I feel qualified to say. I hope that's helpful. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Bhima Prabhu, we saw you fixing your hat.
Hare Krishna, Bhima Prabhu. Wonderful to see you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Likewise. A little bit back further from the last subject that you just mentioned, when William had mentioned the summum bonum of the New Testament and what Christ said. I had to run back to the house from the farm, from a stall, mucking a stall, to something of a higher nature. I'm working on a project for Adi Purush and Ananda Bihari, their little interfaith retreat. We're doing pictures on the walls of all different aspects of all different faiths. And I ran back to that because this is what I was working on. I'll turn this around. Can you see that? This is going to one of the things, and right up here, can you guys see that? The love the Lord thy God. Can you see the quote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I was just working on that this morning. I do a couple of pictures every day and then send them off to the printer and have them framed for the rooms. And I have found that, and I'll make this very brief, that in gathering these quotes from all different religions, from Sufism, from Islam, from Christianity, even from some of our existentialist thinkers like Nietzsche, who said, "I will only believe in a dancing God." So Nietzsche was famous as the God is dead, basically meaning that in modern religion of that time had, sort of put God to the side, and religion became the cynosure, the center of attention, rather than God. And Nietzsche, in trying to revive the aspect of true spirituality, said, "I will only believe in a dancing God." And I would just like to say that as we're discussing this 10th canto and the pastimes of Krishna, I was saying to Adi, some of this stuff seems like it's so much beyond what we should be able to comprehend. But he says, at the same time, we might not be able to deeply comprehend what is the achintya that's going on there. But it is still purifying to hear it, that somehow, even without our knowing, hearing these pastimes are purifying our hearts. And so I was much enlivened by that grace. So thank you very much for your class. It's always a pleasure to listen to such erudite, well-spoken, articulated, picturesque class on Krishna's pastimes. Thank you very much, Dina Bandhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Bhima Prabhu. My obeisances to you, and what you said about this achintya aspect being something that it doesn't really, the mind can't grasp it, but our heart feels pleased. Our heart feels quenched by hearing these achintya aspects. And I've definitely experienced those moments of just even entire books or entire sections of books where I feel like, okay, I can't grasp this mentally, but at the same time we may just feel that happiness, feel that connection, knowing that it's nourishing us on a deep level. A great point.
Thank you for nourishing us on the deep level.
Ananda Bihari, who gave class yesterday?
Raj Vihari Prabhu.
Raj Vihari was mentioning that his wife had spent Kartik reading the whole of Krishna book. And I was and how wonderful it was, and how refreshed she was by reading those pastimes as paraphrased by Srila Prabhupada, with the purports interwoven with Krishna's Leela. And it's funny because when I first joined the movement, I tried reading Krishna book, and it was, it was so far away from me. Like, I can't handle this. I can't, is this mythology? Is this just kids' stories? What's going on here? But 40 years later, I also, when I read it, you become like a child again. You do. Your heart, as Dina Bandhu said, your heart feels refreshed, as if you were become childlike childlike again. Certain innocence blossoms when we hear of Krishna's pastimes. We want to join in, so to speak. It increases our yearning to join him. I just would like to, I don't know why I'm rambling on, but I'm happy to discuss it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Beautiful points. Yeah, thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Yes. Yeah, we need that innocence, that sense of wonder. And
Yeah, despite the beard, Bhima Prabhu is just so childlike. And William Prabhu also. Beard, but childlike. Rich, bhakti also. Adipurusha Prabhu, I don't know. He's not going to grow a beard. We don't know. But he's very childlike. And of course, all our Vaishnavis are childlike, especially Ananda Manjari Didi. So wonderful. That's what Krishna consciousness does to you. Brings you back to childhood in a very refined, uplifted, and mature way. Feel like mature childhood, something like that.
Sincere like
Sincere.
a child.
Yeah, sincere like a child. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, free of pretense. And it's there in the Shastra also, that a great devotee may sometimes be childlike, and it's there in the Bible as well. I know, right, William? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dina Bandhu Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. Dear devotees, come back tomorrow. Love you all. Hari Hari Bol, Jamuna Jaya, childlike smile. Jamuna Jaya, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ananda Bihari Prabhu.